Welcome to the only place where real, raw, and vulnerable conversations happen with IFBB bikini pros to give you an inside look at their struggles, strategies, mindset, passions, and all of life beyond the stage. This podcast is made to inspire, motivate, and remind competitors and the average gym goer that even the most extreme lifestyles and elite athletes have their ups and downs. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm your host, Celeste Rains-Turk, and now it's time for the Confessions of a Bikini Pro podcast. Today we are speaking with wife, doctor, pharmacist, and licensed esthetician who loves traveling the world, trying new products, and immersing herself into all things wellness. She has been developing her company, RYT, R-Y-T, which stands for Reveal Your Truth, and it is a natural line of skincare products for sensitive skin with the purpose of encouraging others to live authentically. I just love that. And she turned pro at Junior USA's in 2018 and has since been gracing the IFBB Pro League stages. So welcome to the show, Dr. Brittney Dayne. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. We're both in our peak week.
Yes. Oh, girl, you got your water next to you, right?
Oh, yeah. I know. So you guys, if you we talk a little bit before I start recording, and I just warned her, I was like, I may need to pause to use the bathroom. So if there's any weird glitches in the show, you know why. But I just appreciate you being here with me, Brittney, especially because I know you're busy with back-to-back shows and lots going on. So before we get into everything, I love asking if there's something you do or think about, or maybe a ritual you have right before your heel hits the stage.
Yeah, it's different, I guess, depending on like where I'm at in life. I've been competing for so long. But I would say recently, I have been on this very just intentional spiritual journey of just kind of strengthening my faith and just all aspects of life. So I've gotten to the point where I'm like, you know what, if I'm involved in anything, like I really just want God to shine through it. I'm a very spiritual girl. Okay. I am God's girl. So I would say, before I hit the stage, I do send up a quick prayer. And recently it really has been more so making it about him. So I'm just like, Lord, whatever I do on that stage, just please allow everyone to see your light through me. It gets to a point where it's like, it's bigger than me. I feel like the opportunity to compete and just have this type of platform is just so much bigger than, a trophy or anything like that. Like it can really be used for something special. And so I just want to make sure I position myself to where God can use me in a special way.
I love that. It's so awesome. And that's very apparent too when you go on stage, and also just through all your posts. I mean, I only recently started following you and found you because I was like, this girl is gonna kill it. And I had seen your name on I want to say, yeah, it was Tampa Pro, and I was like, I send my friend what I think who's going to be in the top 5 or who I think will be, and I was like, this girl's going to be in the top 5 at least. And I was just blown away by your physique and posing, and I was curious what the feedback was that you got from that show.
Yeah, from Tampa. So I am a tall girl. I'm 5'9". And so it's hard for me. I have, what do they say? I have more real estate to cover, right? Meaning my limbs are so long, my muscle fibers and everything are very long. So it's harder for me to have that more like dense look. And so it makes it look like I actually have less muscle than I have because they're just long, they're elongated. So feedback is just like, hey, we know it's gonna, be a little bit harder for you, but you just got to pack on a little bit more muscle so that I can look fuller, just overall. Yeah. So, but they were like, posing and everything is great. Like keep up the energy and the confidence. But they were like, of course and it's hard to do when you're in the middle of the season. Like it's not really much muscle that you can try to grow at this point. But they were like, moving forward, whenever I hit that off season, just focus on just a little bit more muscle overall.
Yeah, and what's interesting is you had done Wasatch. I never know how to say that right.
Wasatch. Yeah, I had to practice that one too.
Before you competed at Tampa, and After, and that was actually your return to the stage of Wasatch, and I'm looking forward to getting into that with you too. But there were a lot of different variables that led to a little bit of weight gain after that show. So how did you and your coach work together to bring the physique back in and get you ready?
So yeah, I was a bit stressed out before Wasatch. Lord, again, like you said, it was my first show back, so it was a lot that played into that as far as just my stress levels. For one, just it had been 2 years, and so I'm just overall, I'm just nervous. Um, Dealing with, and you mentioned with the skincare line, like that's something that's dropping in the fall, so it's a lot of things that are going on with that I'm trying to figure out. And then I think just hormonally, things are just kind of all over the place. Because again, it's almost like I feel like I'm a rookie. Okay, like
Mm-hmm.
I got back on that stage and was like, "What am I doing?" It was so funny too because I actually had a friend that was like, "I mean, you look great, but you definitely look like." You needed to just remember things.
Wow.
So yeah, and it's true. I mean, it's fine. I did. So anyways, what Ryan Hinton's my coach, Team Legacy. Hey, hey. Um, he did adjust my diet, and that's one thing that he's really good for. Like Ryan's that whole like if it's not broken, don't fix it. Which I love. I just remember peak week after peak week with him, like he would be like, "All right, you're good. Just keep doing what you've been doing." And I'm like, "All right, cool. We'll just cruise into this, and not have to think twice about anything." So what he did, this is the first time he was like, "All right, we're gonna make adjustments and it's gonna be fine." But it's crazy because what he did, he was like, "I want you to take a few days off. Don't do anything. Don't go to the gym. Do not do any cardio. I want you to sleep as much as you can. I want you to start meditating twice a day. And I just want you to like recalibrate yourself mentally and emotionally." I'm
Mm.
like, okay, all right. And then he was like, come back, on that Monday of peak week. And what we'll do, he did cut back my carbs just a little. And when I say just a little, I mean like he took my half cup of fruit away.
How dare
That's
he?
it. Yeah, that's it. And I was just like, I'm thinking that, I'm about to be starving. And he was like, nah, we'll just cut back a little bit. And he was like, I only want you to do, 10 minutes of cardio, just to kind of keep things moving. But that's it. And I just want you to let your body settle. And sure enough, like that's exactly what happened. It was so bizarre, but amazing. And I was so grateful because I was getting myself prepared to like push it to the max,
Hmm.
and actually stress more. And he was like, no, we're gonna do the exact opposite. And that's what I needed. It was perfect.
That's awesome. Yeah, that was really cool to see that transformation too, because it was obvious that your body responded so well. Were you doing cardio before that, or was that 10 minutes just added?
No, I had been doing cardio. I had been doing I want to say 20 minutes in the morning and then 20 minutes before bed. So not too much, but he was just
Yeah,
like, we're gonna cut back on it completely. And I was like, all right, let's do
that's
it. I will
amazing.
not argue.
He must really know. I mean, well, he really knows his stuff, period, but he also must really know your body and could have probably seen, okay, this is not a matter of her physique or her diet or her training. It's like literally a stress issue, so we can control
Yeah,
these different variables.
exactly. And that's one thing I'll mention. Like, it's so important that you give your coach time to work with you. I think a
Mm,
lot of people get a little frustrated when they don't get the results that they're looking for, like almost immediately with a new coach.
mhm.
And I mean, that does happen at times. With Ryan, I actually had been competing for a while and I got with him. I did one prep with him and I got my pro card. So, I mean, it does happen. However, that was, 2 years ago, over 2 years ago. And since then, he's been able to learn me. He's been able to understand not only just my body and my physique, but also mentally and how I respond to things outside of prep, just in life in general. And he's just like, Brittney, I really can see that this is stress. Like, this is not you doing anything wrong as far as the weight gain. You just have a lot of outside factors that are affecting you. And so because of that, I just want you to rest. I don't want you to do anything other than rest. And so that's something that he was able to learn about me over time, not only as an athlete, but just as a person, so it
Yes.
takes time for, you got to really build that relationship with your coach.
I agree. I agree. Not just leaving as soon as things are maybe not going exactly how you expected, or an adjustment was made that didn't go the way
Mhm.
both parties expected. I think that's really important. And I also just want to say shout out to Ryan for telling you to do 2 meditation sessions a day. That's awesome.
Yes, girl, listen. I'm sorry. What? Because again, I was really prepared to just like, all right,
Yeah,
Ryan, no, I'm not trying to let you down. Like, I'm gonna do whatever it takes. Like, what you want me to do? And he
right.
was like, I want you to chill and meditate. And I was like, okay.
You're like, okay, this is my new training.
Right.
I love that though. No, that's awesome. He's one of the few coaches that I actually really believe does prioritize his clients' mental health
Hmm.
as well, like making sure that they do take care of their stress and watch how they're feeling. Like I think that that's really cool. And you've
Yeah.
actually been competing back to back and you guys have plans to continue, and we were just talking about this and I'd love if you could share here, like what's been your approach, or what is going to be your approach? How are you adjusting physically and mentally now, knowing, these shows are catching up to you, but you also have a lot more planned?
Right, right. Yeah. So, at this point, you really have to switch things into different gear mentally more than anything. We are so used to just like going nuts in prep, right? Like you just,
Mm-hmm.
beast mode all the time. But then it gets to a point where you're like, wow, okay, I'm kind of here now. So I think it's really okay that I just not necessarily slow down, but recognize that like I don't have to push my body to its total limits at this point. We're here, right? So
Mm-hmm.
allow your body to just kind of cruise into what it's already been doing. Don't continue to add that stress. I'm not at a point where I need to lose any more weight. It kind of fluctuates, just with sodium and having those post show treats, sugar and stuff, water retention, but that's not fat gain, right? So
Right.
it's not like you have to go nuts trying to lose that weight. Eventually, things will come off if you just allow it to rest and eliminate those stress factors. So at this point, I basically I'm just like I have to listen to my body. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Sunday we got back from Lord, where was I just at for World Clash? We just got back. We probably got back around 1 o'clock. And I was like, okay, there's plenty of time for me to get into the gym now that we're home. And I stopped and was like, but you know what, Brittney, like you are tired. Like it is what it
Mm-hmm.
is. You are tired. So like give yourself that grace to just rest today. It's gonna be okay. And I got up today and I went to the gym and killed it. Like I felt
Yes.
good. I had the energy that I needed. I didn't feel like, I had to go beyond what was naturally in me. I got
Mm-hmm.
the rest that I needed. So really at this point now, we're just gonna listen to my body and do what it needs for me to do at the time that it needs me to do it. And whatever that is what it's gonna be.
Absolutely. I love that so much because we usually think I have to keep pushing and pushing and basically kill myself even the day after the show, which, there's nothing wrong with that if you are in the mood to do it. But it's like when you don't listen to your body, when you don't honor it, then what happens the next day and the next day? These things add up over time. So
Right.
I just think it's really cool that you not only had the ability to hear your body, but also honor your body, because that's the most important step in that process.
Yeah, yeah. This
So,
this this little body's got to carry me a long
mhm,
way, so I'm gonna respect it.
exactly. You're like, we have a long road ahead. We've come a long way
Mhm.
too. Like,
Yeah.
it's not what for one session, and the session's probably not even going to be the best because you're just like, well, I guess I have time to hit the gym. Like,
Right.
doesn't even,
Exactly.
yeah, it's not a good, mix, I guess. So, with that said though, it is interesting how you've hopped back into the league, and I'm really looking forward to talking about what inspired that. But I want to go back in time to when you started competing, back in 2016, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
And then in 2017 you started hitting the national stages, and then in 2018 you went pro, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. So what do you feel made the biggest difference in each national show that you did before you turned pro?
Ooh. So honestly, it was about learning the criteria for the division that I was trying to succeed in. I think we, especially newbies, we get caught up in Instagram and seeing these perfectly posted pictures of our favorite athletes that are pros, right? And we're like, oh my gosh, okay, they look amazing. They're doing well on the pro stage. I want to be a pro. So I just need to look like this person. Not realizing that, for one, photos don't tell the whole story. And then two, I mean, you got filters and lighting and this, that, and the other. Then three, like, this person, as far as posing, right? They are posing this way because it flatters their physique in this particular way. So it's a matter of, like, first of all, learning the criteria. Okay. As an NPC athlete, you aren't actually supposed to come in looking like the pros. There's a criteria for the NPC, and you have to respect that. So for me, what was happening, I was trying so hard to just look like the pros, and I had put on a little bit more muscle than I really needed back then. It's crazy because now I need more muscle, whatever. But I had to learn a lesson.
Of
But I
course.
had way too much muscle. But that's because I was looking at these pictures thinking that these girls on the pro stage had so much muscle. I'm like, I need more, I need more. And so I would get on the national stages, and I was still doing well. I got third place a couple times, top five a couple times, and I would be so frustrated because I'm like, I know that I look like the pros.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, like, I honestly didn't. You don't realize how small these women are for real until you're really standing next to them. So I had way too much muscle back then. And I just didn't necessarily have, I don't want to say the guidance. I had perfectly fine guidance as far as a trainer and everything. I think we just needed to take the time to really understand the criteria of the division and what we needed to do in order to mold my body into that. We just didn't study enough. I think that was mainly what it was. We didn't study enough. So, but then eventually I actually got with Ryan, and this is obviously a well-established coach in the industry. He's knowledgeable on basically everything. And yeah, he kind of just whipped things into shape. Like I said, I did one prep with him. It was the most peaceful prep that I'd ever had in my life. I had never eaten so much food. I'd never done so little cardio. And yeah, he transformed things. Like, it was insane. I still cannot get over that package that we brought to Junior USA's in 18. I
Mm-hmm.
still can't. I'm just so proud of it because it's the thing that I had been chasing for so long. Not just the card, but the right physique. The right physique. And Ryan got me there. So yeah, it was really more so about just understanding and studying the criteria for the division. That was the difference for me.
Absolutely. I love that you point that out, and being a student of the sport, really, and of the NPC, respecting your time in the NPC, also respecting and understanding your time in the IFBB now. And you used to be a classically trained ballerina, and you were talking about your
Yeah.
long limbs. And so I'm wondering, like, how you feel this helps you with posing.
Yeah, I definitely think it's coming out. I've
Mm-hmm.
had quite a few girls, especially this season, being back since Wasatch, that they've now nicknamed me their little ballerina. Like, oh, there's the ballerina.
Oh my gosh, your
um,
posing is just
oh,
beautiful. Like,
thank
seriously,
you.
I watched it over and over. I was like, wow, this is amazing.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
For me, for this particular season, I did not get any assistance with posing, and it wasn't like because I just didn't want to work with anybody. There was something in me that was like, you know what, Brittney, you can figure this out. Like, just take the time to
Mhm.
study it. You know your body. You understand how you move and how it feels when you move. So, like, just take the time to study and figure it out. And so I think for this particular season, like, my little inner ballerina is able to come out and shine a whole lot more than in the past, because I've just gotten more in tune with myself and how I feel and what comes natural for me. So yeah, the classical ballet training is definitely what I think has helped me to pay attention to the details of posing and understanding the angles and things. I'm not saying that my angles and everything are perfect, but I do know that I've made great improvement. And it just feels good. It's to the point now where it's like,
Yes.
yeah, I'm going to try to hit these poses correctly, but overall, like, I'm going to make sure it feels good to me when I'm on that stage.
Ooh, I love that. I love that so much because I think we can get caught up in trying to hit the pose, trying to nail our routine perfectly, that we forget to just like let it flow and see how our body feels. And like you said something that I wrote down because I thought it was great. You were saying like see how your body feels when you move your body a certain way. And
Mm-hmm.
this prep recently, I was practicing my posing and I was like, I wonder if I did like this with my arm, how it would feel. And it was different than like what I'd practiced. And it
Yeah.
just felt so much better. But I told myself, on show day, I may flow differently. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that sometimes, like the evolution of a competitor, like when I look back a year, 2 years ago, well, I shouldn't say a year, more like 2 years ago, it
Mm-hmm.
was like my posing was very methodical, but it's didn't feel exactly like me. I feel like it's evolved to be more like me, and I think that was from paying attention to actually how it feels. So I like that you use that word because I was like, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, yeah. It's about like whatever is going to come natural to you. Yes, you need to hit a certain angle. So, because, let's just be real, a lot of what we see on stage is illusions. Okay. We're trying to make
Yes.
our bodies look a certain way, and that's fine. But there needs to be a balance of that, manipulated illusion and what actually is coming natural to you. There needs to be a
Yeah.
balance.
Like not just standing on stage, obviously. Like,
Right.
no, but yeah, it's funny. I'll post like photos of me, like my check-in photos where I'm just standing there straight up and down for my coach versus posing. And people are
Mhm.
like, oh my gosh, that's so crazy. And I'm like, that's exactly like why we pose on stage
Yep,
because this is not, everyday life.
that's right. That is so true. So, so true.
So something I also really love that you post about is like showing up for yourself every chance you get.
Mhm.
And I would love to hear how you personally do that on a day-to-day basis.
Ooh. So again, on my spiritual journey and just trying to really stay rooted in my faith and everything, um, I am very conscious about giving myself grace. I say this almost daily, like Brittney, because I am a bit of a perfectionist when it comes to not only my training and everything, but just the business that I'm trying to start, and just even my role as a wife. All that stuff I take very seriously. But then at times I do have to remind myself, like, hey, you're still human. You're still evolving just like anybody else is. And so you have to give yourself grace. Again, it's kind of like we were saying, respecting my body and whatever it needs in that moment. Like, that's what we need to cater to. So again, it becomes more of a mental and emotional um, focus of giving myself grace and not beating myself up when things don't turn out how I thought they should have, or whatever, whatever it may be. Ultimately, I just have to give myself grace. I have to, be kind to myself the
Mhm.
same way that I would have patience with any of my friends that may be going through something, or family members. Like, I'm the one that is happy and willing to talk to anybody at any time, right? I'll be that sounding board, and I'll give them all the time they need. But for whatever reason, we don't give ourselves that same patience and grace and respect. I don't know why we're like this. um, but that's something that I did start paying attention to. Like, you know what? You've got to start treating yourself just as nicely and kindly as you would treat your friends. So I would say that's how I show up for myself. Like, just simply acknowledging that I'm human and that I deserve the kindness and the patience just like anybody else.
That's for sure. I love that. It's like exercising compassion, self-compassion,
Mhm.
and knowing
Yeah.
that that's better than continuing to force yourself to do things or reach perfection, which doesn't
Yeah.
even exist. So I think that's really cool that you just carry that mindful awareness throughout the day around like how can I give myself grace, or maybe do I need to? Um,
Mhm.
and you mentioned something that I was like, I wonder what that means for her. You said sometimes it shows up in the business you're launching, but also in being like the perfect wife. What in your mind, like, do you feel is necessary? And I don't mean to reach perfection, but what are some of those things you find yourself trying to attain or live up to, I guess you could say?
As a wife.
Yeah.
So I would say probably the main thing that is like of utmost importance as a wife is making sure, well, actually two things.
Mhm.
One, I take very seriously making sure that my husband has peace of mind in regards to whatever is going on, right? So,
Mm.
um, what shoot, even on his job and the stresses that he has, what can I do to help relieve any of the stress or the pressure that he may be feeling? So I take that very seriously, where I'm like, okay, let me make sure I give him some words of affirmation at this point. Let me make sure that he knows how proud I am regardless of what however things turn out. Just making sure that he has that peace of mind to know that he is doing an amazing job. I am, and listen, if you really have followed, I am obsessed with making sure my husband knows he is loved. Okay. Like I appreciate him so much. And this is not a matter of me like bragging or saying that I have this perfect marriage, but it is a constant state of gratitude that I have when I think
Yes.
about him and the life that we've built together. And so I just think it's so important that we allow each other to feel appreciated and loved, and that we matter, right? I mean, with whatever it is that we're doing. So yeah, his peace of mind is one thing that I will always prioritize. And then, kind of just being an example. I know that for me, like, okay, as just being in a relationship in general, you're gonna have like your pet peeves and stuff with each other. Like, no one's perfect, so
Mhm.
of course you're gonna look at this person and be like, yo, what and why would you do that? like, but I've gotten to the point where I've learned, like, if so, I can only control me, right? It's
Mhm.
not my job to change him or mold him into this whatever perfect version. Like, who knows what's perfect? Okay, none of us know, for real. It's not my job to mold him into anything. I'm on my own journey as an individual person, the same way that he is, the same way that you are, the way that anyone is, right? We can
Mhm.
really only control ourselves. So I've gotten to the point where if there are certain things that I want from him, I'm like, well, wait a minute, Brittney, are you able to do that for yourself as well? Like, check
Mm.
yourself first. Because if you're trying to put this pressure on him to do certain things or act a certain way or whatever, but then you're not willing to do that same thing for yourself, like, it's my responsibility to make me happy, not his, to be honest. This
Yeah.
is, again, these are individual journeys that all of us are on. Yes, he is like an added bonus of happiness to my life, but he is not going to be just the root cause of it. That has to start within me. So when I say, like, I try to make myself the example of just whatever it is that I need, if I can do it for myself first, then whether he does it or not doesn't necessarily make a difference. Now, what does end up happening most of the time is he'll see like those things that I'm doing for myself. And,
Mhm.
even if it's just like, even encouraging myself, like maybe I want him to encourage me a little bit more, but he's not thinking about that. He's got his job on his mind right now. So why would I take that personally? But if he sees me like, all right, Brittney, you can do this. You can do this, whatever. Next thing you know, he's initiating that same pep talk. Brittney, you can do this. Like, you got this. I know that you can do this. You've done it before, blah, blah, blah. Like, I try to be the example and stop trying to change him into something that isn't naturally coming to him, because it's not like it's not already there. It's just, hey, at that moment, he might have some other things on his mind or some other, stress issues or whatever that are causing him to be distracted from what's happening here at home. So, again, it's about giving each other grace. Again, we going right back to grace. It's
Mhm.
all about grace. All of us are trying. We are all trying our best. And I know that this man loves me to no end. So whenever there are times or moments of lack, I have to just remember, like, hey, he's trying. He's trying just like I am. So I don't, I feel like that answer was all over the place, but
Oh, it's beautiful. No, I was so glad that you did that. I literally was gonna ask you about your marriage. So everything you just shared, I'm like, whoa, that's awesome and so
um,
insightful because Yeah, you're living it, and I could not agree more, especially the being the example part. I think that's huge because I remember one time this girl gave me, I'm just gonna say the shit, but like she said, she's giving me shit for how I said, in order to cultivate a loving and respectful relationship with someone else, I needed to cultivate that with myself. And she was like, that's not your responsibility. Men shouldn't treat, and I'm like, actually, hold on. This is
Yeah,
what I'm accepting in my life from myself. So I
yeah,
can't demand anything else from someone else, right? And so I totally am with you on that. And I just think that that's awesome. And I like that reinforcing of the idea of giving each other grace and knowing that we are all doing the best we can. And that's what matters. And I just think that's really cool. And you talk about the life that you guys have built together and having gratitude for it. And I know you share a love of traveling, and you guys have been all over the world. So, what were some trips that you guys, or maybe you wish that you could relive, or you would recommend that others take?
yeah, yeah. Listen, I'm so grateful to say that there are so many recommendations that we have. Oh my gosh, it's insane. Like
We need
God
a
is just
travel
really,
blog.
yeah, maybe. I mean, if we weren't so lazy, maybe. um, but I would say I would say number one trip. Um, we went to um, East Africa in 2017, and we stayed at a resort that had an underwater room.
Oh
So
my
like it was
gosh.
literally like they had to take you on a boat out to your room that was like stationed in this like its own little, I guess you can call it like its own little island.
Uh-huh.
But it was literally just the room, and somehow it was attached to the ocean, to the ground of the ocean. But basically, you are able to climb down, and your room where you sleep, where the bed and everything is
Uh-huh.
literally underwater. And so you are up. I mean, I could barely sleep that night because they actually only let you stay, I think, 2 nights max, because I think like it can actually have an effect on you if you sleep underwater like that for a
Oh,
long time.
like you're
But
a submarine.
yeah, basically, yeah. And so it was just amazing because they do have like the lights reflecting off the room or whatever, so that you're not just like in, the darkness underwater.
Yeah.
But you can just see the fish and everything, just like, swimming around you and everything. And it's just so serene, and just like this feeling of just, wow, we are part of a completely different world
Yeah.
right now. Like we are the foreigners completely here. And there's just so much peace surrounding us in this moment. It was beautiful. It was phenomenal.
That
That
sounds amazing.
yeah. And my husband, he finds these places. I don't know
I
how.
was just gonna ask
Um,
that.
yeah. I think it's like therapeutic for him to plan vacations. It's so amazing because yes, I am spoiled as I don't know what, because I literally just have to pack a bag and show up. He takes care of everything.
Wow.
Yeah, girl, I'm telling you, this is why I'm like, no, this man needs to feel appreciated all the time, because he is a good one. Okay, I am so blessed.
Oh.
He's a good one. So yeah, he plans all of our trips. The other one I would recommend is in St. Lucia. We actually got married in St. Lucia, and it was
Oh.
because of this first trip that we took out there. We stayed at a resort called Jade Mountain, and wow. It's literally on a mountain, and there are only 3 walls to each room. So you look out inside of your room, and you look out, and it's like, the island, because
Wow.
there's a whole wall missing, and each room has its own infinity pool. And it's just the view, you wake up and you just look out, and there's this amazing view of everything. It's just phenomenal. It's an all-inclusive. The food was amazing. It was my first time having duck.
Oh my gosh.
um, yeah. And I've been obsessed with duck ever since. But yeah, so Jade Mountain St. Lucia is incredible. And I mean, the list goes on. I could literally keep talking to you about this, but
Oh
those would
my
be my top two.
gosh. No, leave us wanting more. I'm probably gonna hit you up about that because now I want a whole list. Even if it's just
Yeah.
like those little details, that is so
Mhm.
cool and inspiring as well. Because I think, a lot of people don't prioritize travel, or maybe don't believe they're worthy of travel, or maybe don't think that they can make it happen.
Mhm.
What has what has maybe guided you and your husband to make that something that you do prioritize?
So before we met, like his name's Cameron.
Mhm.
He had actually been traveling the world way more than me. I thought I was doing something, but he had been on it. And to be honest, he was blessed to have a group of male friends that were very like-minded in the sense of just how they perceived and viewed life.
Mhm.
It was one of those things where it's like, you know what, we work hard, we are young Black men, and we deserve these experiences just like anybody else, and so we're going to go out and get it. There are no
Mhm.
limitations, whereas I remember having that mindset of like, well, you know, it would be nice to go to these places, but I can't go out there, like, who am I? There were those limitations that I had within my
Mhm.
mindset, and I don't know if it's because of, you know, just maybe it's generational. You know, my parents didn't really travel like that, or, you know, and their parents definitely didn't. So him and his friends, they definitely were the inspiration for me when he and
Mhm.
I first started dating. I'm like, wow. I want to say we met, and I think 2 weeks later, after we met, he was like, hey, I'm gonna be gone for a while. Me and the homies are going to Prague. And I was like,
Mhm.
what? Why? You know, like, and he was like,
Yeah.
just cause. I mean, you know, it's been on the list, and we made some time for it, and so we're going to Prague. And I'm like, oh wow. So, you know, just seeing that and seeing these guys that are like, you know, just doing their thing, and they're all dressed and dapper, and I mean, just
Mhm.
killing it, you know, out in Prague. And I'm like, what in the world? So, um, that was the one thing that really kind of helped to open my eyes to the fact that, like, hey, you know, we working hard, you know, and if you can afford, I get it. It's not cheap. I get that. But this is what we choose to prioritize at this
Yeah.
point in our life. You know, before things change and priorities have to change. You know, we don't have kids yet. And it was one of those, like, why not build these memories, these amazing memories together, before, you know, things have to slow down and we have to reprioritize things. So we just, it is our priority. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, you guys should, you know, I don't know, invest your money in this, that, and the other. And we do have a few investments, which is great, you know, but at the end of the day, our priority right now are these memories. And we have
Mhm.
amazing memories and stories to tell. I make like a photo book on Shutterfly for literally every single trip.
That's awesome.
And I just, you know, I look forward to the day where I can, you know, show these pictures and tell these stories to our kids, so that they can also see the potential of what life can be. You know, if you take those limitations off of yourself, you really can do whatever you want out here.
Yes. Oof, I love that. That's powerful. And how I just think it's so beautiful that you're allowing people to see that it's okay to prioritize what you want and you can achieve what you want and you can go and see the things and nothing should hold you back from doing that. And you talked, about how you found duck for the first time and how you guys have had these amazing experiences and now you can live to tell the stories, right? So, how does your vacation life look different from your day-to-day life?
Oh boy. Vacation life is so reckless. No, I'm just kidding. We, we do take the word vacation seriously, though. It's one of those things like, no, I am on vacation, therefore, we
Hmm.
will not worry about this. Okay, like we're going to let this vacation serve its purpose, and that is to re-energize and recharge and the whole nine, right?
Hmm.
Um, so vacation is just literally anything goes. Now, the struggle at one point, because Cameron was also competing when I first started as well.
Yeah.
So here we are trying to balance the two, like, oh, okay, we got these
Right.
goals. Yeah, we got these goals and we're trying to compete, but like we still need to take our, you know, our trips. So we
Yes.
were like literally, I want to say even we were in prep as we were preparing for our wedding, right? So we got married in St. Lucia. Him and his friends for his bachelor party, they went to Costa Rica, I think, and me and my girls, we went to Jamaica. But it was literally like maybe 2 months before the wedding and 1 month before, I want to say, June USA's in 2016 that year.
Wow.
So yeah. So it was funny because this was the one time that we were like, oh man, like we really want to be able to just turn up and kick it and enjoy. Obviously, we're here to celebrate, us.
Right.
So, but that was the one time that I did kind of restrict things, and thank God my friends, they're so supportive and they understood, what I was trying to achieve at that time. And so they, made the adjustments as well for the trip. But that was the last time we ever did that, where it was like, okay, we about to vacation and not really vacation. It
Right.
was the last time. So basically what we had to do was just kind of schedule things in between. Like, all right, we know we have this particular competition we want to shoot for. Well, that means, if we're going to go on these trips, like it needs to be X amount of weeks out from it before, while there's still room for error to fix things.
Mhm.
So yeah, it was it was a struggle for a while, because we were like, no, we can do it both. We can do both. We can do both. But like it's difficult when you really are trying to take your competition career to the
Yeah.
next level. Like you have to be willing to make those sacrifices. And that was the time of our life where we were like, all right, let's just buckle down and do what we need to do. And we had to sacrifice our vacation. This sounds so like first world problems, like, oh my God, we had to sacrifice our vacations.
Well,
So ridiculous. But it's a blessing. It's also a blessing. I recognize
yeah.
that.
No, exactly. I didn't think it sounded bad at all. I was just honestly taking it in and learning because I think, a lot of times, well, I guess there's some competitors who see travel as like you can travel on prep and it's all good. And I'm kind of like, if I'm going to travel, I want to be able to get the full
Yeah,
experience. And
exactly.
it's like I don't need to overindulge to the point where I'm sick every day. That's a whole different story. But it's like you want to be able to taste, you want to be able to experience. You don't want to be maybe spending like an hour and a half in the gym. You want to have a little bit more flexibility with your time. So I could understand that for sure. But what also I think happens is we get caught up in the chase of being competitive and of competing in general. So when you took time off, did you ever, first of all, did you ever think you'd step on stage again? And then second of all, did you have feelings of, I'm going to be forgotten, I'm not going to be competitive, anything like that?
100%, yes.
Hmm.
So when we decided to take a break from competing, I did not plan to come back until I had a child.
Okay.
Um, so, and of course, family planning, you never think that, oh, you're going to have issues with this. It's going to take longer than you want. You don't think that. So I had plans. And so I got my card in 18. I did like 3 pro shows and was like, all right, cool. I got, a taste of the pro life. I'll take a break and have a kid and then come back within like a year and a half. That was my thought. So yeah, that didn't work out that way. And like, we can definitely talk about that. But as far as the feeling of being forgotten, absolutely. I absolutely felt that way. But there's like peace in that mindset. And I'll say this because Wasatch was my first show back after, being gone for over 2 years. And because I was like, you know what? They don't know me, which means they're not expecting anything of me. You know what? I can just show up and do my thing. I have my own standards of how I want to look, of course. But I can just get up there, have a good time, and not expect anything, literally, which is why I don't know if you look at the video from Wasatch when they were calling the rewards or awards for top 5. Like
Mm-hmm.
my face was so ridiculous when they called my name for 5th place. I was like,
I
oh,
know.
okay. Like, oh, I was so shocked because it was hilarious. So you know how call outs go or whatever. And when they did the
Mm-hmm.
confirmation round at finals, I had been moved to the end. I was shocked that I got first call out, but I was like, all right, cool, I'll take it. But then for confirmations, they moved me to the end. And I was like, all right, cool. Like, hey, this is my first show back and I got first call out. Like, that's what's up. But and I went back to the line to the diagonal when they were about to call, first, second, third, whatever. And I literally was just like, all right, well, I can just kind of chill, let me watch them give out the awards to the girls. and just it'll be over soon.
Oh my
And they
God.
called my number and I just was not expecting it at all. So it was such a nice surprise, because again, I went into it with this mindset of like, hey, they don't know me, they're not expecting anything. I'm just get up there, have a good time, do my thing, and call it, a great experience and just be done with it. So there's peace in the whole, like, just taking that pressure off of yourself, taking the expectation off of yourself, especially when you feel like no one else expects anything from you as well.
Mm.
There's
Mhm.
so much peace in that. And to be honest, I wish I could still hold on to that even now. But fifth at Wasatch, fourth at Tampa, I'm just kind of like, okay, now I have
Now
something to
there's,
prove,
yes,
you know.
got some eyes on you now.
Exactly. So I'm like, I can't get up there and that and look crazy. So now there's a little bit more pressure, and it takes away from that feeling of freedom when I was on stage at Wasatch. It has taken away from that, but I am very conscious now, especially after World Clash. I'm like, you know what, Brittney, you deserve that feeling of freedom again. You
Mhm.
deserve it. So I'm going to take it back. Okay.
Yes,
Taking it
so
back. And
exciting.
for these next shows, I'm legit going to get up there and just have a good time and be grateful that I'm there. And that's it.
Yeah.
Literally, that is it.
I love that so much. That's awesome. And it's reassuring too, because like I've now been when I compete this weekend, it'll be almost exactly 2 years.
Yeah.
And it's just flown by. It's crazy. Like everything I've done for the past 2 years, like in my case, I've really been focused on this next show. And
Mm-hmm.
in your case, you didn't expect that it would be that long necessarily, and the journey you went on. And I definitely want to talk to you about that in terms of getting back to the stage and what inspired that. But
Mm-hmm.
when you think about heading into these next couple shows, you said you want to take that feeling back. You're just going to focus on having fun. Is there something you're going to do to help get you into that frame of mind?
So yeah, I've been playing around. It's funny, my husband is actually the one that really got me into this new mindset of just going out there and having fun, right? And he's
Mm.
literally got me watching he Googled or YouTubed Beyonce Walk, right? Beyonce Walk, and there's this like compilation of just her performances and her just coming out her little, making an entrance in that walk. You know that Beyonce walk,
Oh
right?
yeah.
So I'm looking at that stuff and I'm trying to just kind of play around with it. And I'm like, you know what? Like, I ain't Beyonce, but I am Brittney. Okay. I'm
Mhm.
still a queen bee somewhere. Okay.
Yes.
So I'm just, stuff like that. We're playing around with. I even looked up Naomi Campbell's walks because Lord Jesus, that woman,
Hmm.
she's phenomenal. So like stuff like that, and just letting it be fun, getting up there and just because there's a feeling of confidence, right, that I believe the reason why we're so impressed by their walks and when they get on stage is because it's like, no, this is mine, this is my stage. Okay, I don't care who else is here, who's watching, it does not matter. I am here now, this is my time, and I'm about to kill this point blank. There's something in that mindset that can't be taught, right? It really just
Yes.
can't be taught. You just have to
Yes.
feel it. And so that's why we just kind of been playing around. We'll blast some music in the house, I'll be walking up and down the hall looking crazy, but whatever, it's fun.
Yes.
And that's the same, like that just the energy. I'm just trying to take that same thing to the stage moving forward, taking the pressure off, and just like, hey, you know what, I'm right here with my husband, cheering me on, gassing me
Hmm.
up. And that's it. That's all that matters at this point. We're here now. We're going to kill it.
Yes, that's the key word, energy, right? Like almost creating an anchor so that when those heels go on, that's the anchor back to the living room, Beyonce walks.
That's
It's
it.
the dance parties with your husband. Like it creates such a positive energy that then when it is showtime, that's what you're able to tap into.
That's it. That is it.
Okay, so when you decided to come back to competing, it was more so for mental health reasons. And you talked about how you didn't plan to come back until after you had a baby. So, do you mind sharing more on this and the experience you had?
Yeah, yeah. So we began the whole family planning, and we were so excited and ready to, open this new chapter of our lives. And we were hit with infertility, totally unexpected. It was kind of heartbreaking, shattering, to be honest. Um, and I would say, I think the hardest part about it was coming in as uh, an IFBB professional. Like, hey, my body can do anything. Okay. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I have taken it to the extreme, and I'm strong and all of these things. Right. And then to be hit with, oh, actually, no, your body, yes, you can do all those things, but now your body is not able to do what it was naturally built to do. And that's the part that really just kind of took a toll on me, because I'm just like, why?
Mm-hmm.
So we were hit with that. But at the same time, we were so focused on becoming parents, right? We were like, nope, this is our time. We're going to make this happen. And so we explored our options. I went through IVF. There were surgeries and procedures. It was all kinds of stuff, even leading up to the IVF, even after the IVF. The IVF did not work out the first round, and the doctor wanted to do another round, but at that point, it had been, I think, over a year. I know it was well over a year of us trying by the time the IVF failed. And so what was happening month by month by month, like leading up to the IVF, you're trying, you're doing the ovulation tests, you're trying to time the intercourse, all that good stuff, right? And what happens is, not only do you find out that, like, oh no, you're not pregnant, because yay, your period just started, but now you're also dealing with your period, like
Yeah.
like the side effects of that, the mood swings and the cramps and the headaches and the bloating and the acne, all of that stuff. It's like a continued just slap in the face. You just,
Mm-hmm.
because it's like, okay, yeah, nope, you don't have a baby, and now you get to deal with this. And that was literally breaking my heart month after month, like over and over. And so that's why we were like, you know what, forget it. Like, let's just do the IVF. Let's just go for the gusto. Let's just do whatever it takes, because I'm tired of this. And then for that not to work, especially when you have a doctor that's just like, oh yeah, you're so healthy and strong, and you know what, you're going to be the perfect candidate for this to work out. Like, I have no doubts. She legit was promising me a baby. She even
Mm.
said, you might even get multiples, and I'm just like, okay, great. Optimism is there. And then it didn't work. And her response to that is, Brittney, there's no medical reason for this not to have worked. I don't know why this happened. You literally were the perfect candidate. Like, I don't know. And I'm just like, all right, cool. At that point, she wanted to do a whole bunch of procedures and stuff for like another 2 months. And then we would do another round of IVF. Um, and long story short, like, I was so tired at that point, of just, I mean, physically tired, yes, because IVF will take a huge toll on your body. It's not enjoyable, to be honest. Like, the injections and all the drugs and the side effects from all of that is tough. I want to say I had migraines like every single day for like maybe 2 weeks straight.
Wow.
Like, not headaches, migraines, to the point where like I would just have to stop. Like, I could
Mm-hmm.
barely function, mood swings and stuff. Poor husband, he looking at me crazy, and I'm like, it's not me. And he knew,
Mm-hmm.
but he said to deal with it. Um, it was just a lot. So physically it was a lot, but then emotionally it's just like, you have all this optimism going into it, and especially when the doctor is like, yes, this is gonna work, and then it doesn't, and she doesn't even have an explanation for it. It's just like, yo, I can't keep doing this. So I did decide to stop all of it. I was like, I need a break from all of this. I had received a message from, I go to Elevation Church, if anybody's familiar, here in Charlotte. And Pastor Furtick had this message. This was literally like the day, because we had to go out of town for the procedure of IVF and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But the day that we got back on a Saturday, I was just so broken. And I was like, I just need to go to church. Because again, church girl, okay? So I was like,
Mm-hmm.
just let me go to church. Let me get a word or something, whatever. So that same day when we got back, we went to church. Pastor Furtick preached on a message called Trust Me, I'm Trying. Trust me, I'm trying.
Mm-hmm.
He said, look at the person next to you and tell them, trust me, I'm trying. And he was like, and I know all of us have said this before. I know that you can look at the person next to you and say it with conviction, because I know you know what I mean by this. Like, trust me, I'm trying, you know. And his examples were like, I'm trying to save my marriage. I'm trying to get this job. I'm trying to provide for my family. Like, trust me, I really am trying. And so for me, of course, in that
Mm-hmm.
moment, you know, I'm just looking at my husband like, babe, I promise you, like, I'm trying. I'm trying to make you a husband. I mean, I'm trying to make you a father. I'm trying to make my parents grandparents. I'm trying, you know, I promise you, I'm trying. And it was just, oh God, it was like the perfect message for me in that moment, because now, granted, that part like broke my heart. Like, I just shattered in church right then and there. Like, oh my God, like, this is too much. But then, of course, he continues to preach, and I'm so grateful for that message. I will literally never forget this message, because he was saying how, you know what, while we're constantly talking about how, man, I'm trying, a lot of times, like, our trying gets in the way of our trust in God, right? And so a lot of times God is also telling us the same thing. No, trust me. I'm trying. God is trying to do these things for us. But because we don't trust him enough, we don't trust the plan that he has for us or the timing that he has for us, that we try to manipulate situations or we try to force things to happen. And so we make it harder, honestly, on ourselves. And so I think that was the main reason why I, you know, really started to fall into depression, which is the first time in my life I experienced anything like that, which was devastating, especially being a pharmacist, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I'm counseling people on their antidepressants and stuff all the time. I know the signs and symptoms and everything. And so when it started happening to me, I was like, oh my God, this is like textbook. Like, I am falling into every freaking category of this, right? So it was scary for me to even have to acknowledge that. But again, spiritual journey, I'm God's girl. This was a matter of just testing my faith and strengthening my faith. And it's strength that I will carry for the rest of my life. I'm so grateful for that message, because at that point it was like, you know what, I am going to trust you, God. At the end of the day, you have not failed me on anything. Like, anything that even seemed remotely wrong or it wasn't working out the way that I wanted at some point in my life, always eventually turned out amazing. Okay. And I can testify to that because of the fact that, look, I mean, my life, even right now, like, I have this amazing husband and I have this beautiful, beautiful, like, group of friends and family who are just so, I'm so grateful for my life,
Mm-hmm.
period. Like, I'm just so grateful. So again, it's like God has obviously had his hands on me this entire time. He's not going to let me down. It's just a matter of time. He has other things in store for me that probably just need to happen first. And sure enough, it was through my struggles with infertility and depression and basically suffering in silence, because I didn't want to tell anybody. I didn't want anybody to worry about me. You know, I'm that person. I'll let you worry me all day long, but I do not want to worry you. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so I carried on as if everything was perfectly fine. I even had one friend who was like, you know, I wasn't really checking in on you because I would see your Instagram and you look like things were great. And she was like, and I'm so sorry, because when you finally opened up, like, I had no idea that you were even going through infertility or depression or any of that. And I was like, yeah, you know, that's honestly no real fault of yours, because that's what I wanted you to believe. Right. That's what I
Mm-hmm.
want. That's why I put it out the way that I put it out. But ultimately, I was really suffering in silence. And so when I say, like, God will use your struggles for purpose, it's so beautiful, because now he has given me the vision of reveal your truth. Now, now I'm kind of jumping into the business side of things really
No,
quick,
it's great.
but the right skincare initially started off as, hey, I really want people to live authentically and, feel comfortable walking out the house with no makeup on, and they don't feel like they have to put a filter on every picture. Like, I really want people to just have that confidence in themselves. So I want to help them take care of their skin and take care of themselves, just overall, just their well-being, right? But then God was like, nope, through this, now you understand the importance of going a little bit deeper than the superficial.
Mm.
You want to start revealing your truth. You want to encourage people to reveal their truth. Because when I finally started talking about my struggles with depression and infertility, it was insane how many women were like, oh yeah, I went through that too. I never really had anybody to talk to about it. No one actually knows that my twins were IVF. Like, it was insane. And like their stories of just 6 years of trying and going through, and I'm just like, wow, we've only been at this now for a year and a half, 2 years, what do you mean 6 years, and struggling and not feeling comfortable talking to anybody about it. Meanwhile, there's this whole network of women out here who have gone through this and very well could have given you the strength that you needed to continue to push through or do what you needed to do. That's what I started to gather or gain when I finally just said it. I just had to say it out loud, like, yep, this is what we're going through. And sure enough, like there was just this outpour of just love and support that I got. And I'm like, wow, like had I just been willing to tell my story and not just hold it in or keep it to myself. I can't hide behind my story because again, you don't know how your story will impact the next person. You don't know how you just simply saying, you know what, I went through this and I'm better now. That simple statement can give someone the strength that they need literally to move on to the next day. Like, because it's like day by day. Like when they say take these things one day at a time, it is truly one day at a time. And you just never know how, you can strengthen someone's will to go on to the next day. So reveal your truth. It's so much deeper than just, having pretty skin. Yes, I still want people to be healthy because I'm a pharmacist and those things matter. Okay. And I want to, provide these amazing products that will help you on your journey to healthier skin. Being an IFBB pro, I also want to encourage folks to, take nutrition seriously and exercising. All that stuff plays a part into your overall well-being. But even more so, like the mental health side of it. Reveal your truth, tell your story. You never know how your journey will impact someone else in that moment. You just never know. So I'm grateful. When I say I'm so grateful for my life, I mean that. And I'm sitting here just like almost ready to cry when I think about just how grateful I am to God for just everything, the hard times, the good times. He's been able to use everything in such a powerful way that I'm like, wow, if I had to go through it again, I would. I swear I would. I absolutely would, because I know that there's so much good that'll come from it if I just hang on. You just got to hang on. There's so much good that can come from these situations, especially if you have the right perspective to understand that God can use this. He can use it. So I just totally went on a whole little preaching
No,
rant.
that was so beautiful. I'm literally like over here tearing up. Like it's so
Oh.
amazing. I love that. That's beautiful. And I'm so glad that you shared all of that with us because it's your truth. And it's
Yeah,
amazing
it's
that
totally my truth.
you're living it, you're living your mission and revealing your truth. And yeah, it's just beautiful. What an amazing story. And when
Yeah,
you said like you would go through it all again, I was like, yeah, like isn't that amazing how we
yeah,
go through some of the hardest parts of our life wishing like, I've been through depression and I had suicidal ideations and there were times where I was like, oh, this is so much. I don't even want to be here anymore. And it's
mm,
crazy because I look back on that and now I'm like, I can't even believe I ever felt that way. But at the same
yeah,
time, it's like I would go through everything I've been through with my mental health, with my life, with different challenges I face, just so I could be who I am now and have
yeah,
the mission I have now, do what I'm doing now. And I think that's like one of the most powerful things that we can recognize. In this conversation there might be someone listening who's in the thick of it, really struggling right now,
yeah.
and we're both very positive examples that you can turn it into something better,
Yes.
or you're being prepared for something more. Like like you said earlier, this is something that's given you strength to carry with you for the rest of your life. And you said that that was from that sermon that you had listened to. And trust me, I'm trying. And wow, so much power in everything you just said. I'm blown away by you.
Well, thank you.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
it's all God, and it's one of those things where I have to take this position that He's put me in very seriously because, again, it's bigger than me. And
Mhm.
getting back into competing was important, not only for just my own mental and physical health, because it definitely was the catalyst to just kind of get me back, right?
Yes.
To just get me back focused and disciplined and taking better care of myself because I had fallen off. When I say it was not cute. Remember, I was a ballerina growing up, so I was always
Mhm.
pretty thin and just, I kept well kept. But at that point, with the IVF and all the meds and side effects and yada yada, hormones, and then just being depressed, and so I'm just eating,
Yeah.
dumb stuff all the time and not working out, and it was I was not the same person.
Right.
So receiving that message from God was like, of course, the number one thing of like, okay, we've got to redirect your
Mhm.
focus and understand that like He is going to take care of you, right? So now you need to focus on the things that you can control, and that's yourself. That's you getting up every day and doing what you need to do to take care of yourself. So that's why I was like, let me just try to compete again. At least it'll keep me focused. I know if there's a stage I'm about to get on, then I'm not going to bullshit through this process. Excuse my language. But like I'm just
All
not
good.
going to, right? Like I will actually stick to the plan and I'll actually do this. But even more so, I'm like, wow. And just to be honest, like, the fitness community, if you aren't really posting up a bunch of fitness stuff, they will unfollow you very quickly. Okay. It is what
Mhm.
it is. But as soon as I started competing again, like, I got folks' attention in this particular industry. And so I was like, you know what, this is beautiful because at that same time that I was ready to compete, I was also ready to reveal my truth, right?
Yes.
And so I'm like, wow, now I'm able to reach, a different set of folks that I would not have, if I wasn't competing. So that's when I say, like, this whole journey of competing is so much bigger than the stage. And I'm so grateful to be in this position and have a platform that can encourage folks to do things differently because I know it'll be healthy for them because I've experienced it myself. I know for a fact that you will gain strength from simply telling your story. Okay. You will gain strength. You will give someone else strength as well. Like it's such a beautiful, I don't know, transaction of just strength and love and
Mhm.
support. Right. And so I'm grateful. That's why I'm like, you know what? I had a couple people that asked, if I was disappointed about World Clash, and I'm like, no,
Mhm.
no. Do you understand what God is doing through my life right
Yes.
now? Like, absolutely not. Like, I was supposed to be on that stage at World Clash, whether I got first or 13th. Okay, I was supposed to be there
Mhm.
regardless because it's continuing to position me to be a light. To just simply be a light.
Yes.
Again, it's not me. This is all God. I give Him all credit, all glory, all praise. But I'm just grateful that He trusts me enough to use me in this way.
Powerful, powerful stuff. And especially, it actually goes back to what you said in the very, very beginning, like when we were talking about your pre-stage ritual and how right now it's all the glory is going to God, and you were saying how it's beyond the trophies, it's beyond the wins. And I think that, even just this past weekend can be an example of that. And like you said, honoring the platform for what it is and taking advantage of it, knowing, yeah, there's more eyes on you in the fitness community, but here's why that's cool, and here's how I can use it, and here's how I'm going to use it, and recognizing that you're capable of doing that regardless of any outcomes. And it's just really awesome to hear you talk about it and talk about your experiences within it as well, and owning your truth, and also standing up for your mission and going after what your dreams are and with your skincare line coming out too. And I'd actually love if you could share like how people could find the skincare line when it comes out, because I think that just the mission and the message is powerful. And I'm sure, I mean, given you're an esthetician and pharmacist, I'm sure that the product's going to be phenomenal.
Yes, yes, I am actually very proud of the formulations. Um, so basically, at this point, I plan to launch hopefully in October. That is my goal. Um, but we shall see, of course. But
Mm-hmm.
initially, I think I'll probably, just start talking about it a little bit more on my personal Instagram page, which is Dr.
Okay.
Britt_fit. Um, and that, at that point, I'll be able to provide the information that will direct them to, like, the Instagram page for the company, and Facebook, all the socials, all that type of stuff.
Perfect.
But it is, www.therightskincare.com, and it's spelled RYT, which again stands for Reveal Your Truth.
Mm-hmm.
So therightskincare.com. It's at The Right Skincare on Instagram. Pretty simple. But
Perfect.
yeah, and it's funny. I was so grateful when you reached out about doing this, because I have been hesitating. Because again, I'm like this perfectionist, right? And I'm like, oh, it needs to be right before I say anything about it.
Right.
And my husband was like, no, once again, you need to trust that God is doing this for a reason. He
Yes.
sent Celeste to reach out to you and use this as
Mm-hmm.
well. Like, it's time, Brittney. Like, it's time for you to start really using your voice. Like, me doing the Instagram post talking about my story and everything, that's like baby steps. And he was like, and that's good. That was cute. It's good. However, we got to start like really manifesting this thing and making it a reality. Like, you've been doing the work, and you should be proud of how far you've come. And it's time to start letting the world see it, and giving them access to it. So
Yes.
he was like, he actually was so excited when I told him that you reached out.
I love it.
Yes, this is perfect timing. Yes.
It is. It is perfect time. Everything's perfect timing. And I can say the same thing. Like, I feel like me talking to you today is perfect timing. I feel like when I found your Instagram was perfect timing. And it's just these connections don't just pop up out of nowhere. There is no coincidence. It's very much part of something bigger. And I just love that. And I think it's awesome too that he's so supportive of you and that he felt that way and encouraged you, like, no, let's get it out there. And I know that my listeners are going to be just blown away. And anyone, who sees your name pop up and they follow you and you're promoting it too, like, they're going to listen to this story and be like, holy crap. Like, this is just so inspiring. And I really appreciate you coming on and sharing so much. And that there's a few more things that I want to ask you about. And one of those was actually like the development of your formula. You did say you're really proud of it. So I'm curious, like, what that process of actually starting the skincare line has been like.
Yeah. So okay, this is like a second career, I guess you could say, for me,
Mm-hmm.
because I have been a pharmacist for the past 10 years. But I knew that I wanted to do something a little different after a while. I've been working in retail pharmacy, and it's a tough industry.
Okay.
And so I was starting to kind of burn out. Stress levels were just not healthy for me. So it was like, what can I do that, can serve real purpose, but can still be on the whole not customer service, but patient care side of
Mm-hmm.
things. Um, and so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get into the beauty industry. I've always been like a product junkie. It's just always been my thing, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, education is huge. What I'm not gonna do is just be like, oh, I'm a pharmacist and I have these products. You should trust me because I'm a
Mm.
pharmacist. Well, I mean, yeah, you can trust me because I'm a pharmacist, but I'm also gonna get that credential of, no, I really do understand the skin. I'm going to go to
Yes.
aesthetic school. I went to a program in 2018. I actually was in
Wow.
school when I got my pro card, doing all of that. So I went to
Awesome.
school. I became a licensed esthetician. And at that point, I started going to like different trade shows and stuff. We actually went to China, to the China Beauty Expo. And that's when I started learning about the process of just how products are even made,
Wow.
and the different companies and stuff that you can reach out to in regards to that. And so then I was able to connect with a manufacturer, and I was able to speak with their chemists. And I'm like, hey, listen, me being a pharmacist or having this pharmacy background and now being an esthetician, like I really like to just utilize the knowledge that I already have and just start putting things together.
Yeah.
So it wasn't my desire to put time and effort into like stirring up product, right? Like I was not trying to be
Mm-hmm.
in the lab for real, but I did want to be a part of the process as far as understanding which active ingredients were going to be a part of it and why they would be a part of it,
Yeah.
and all of that. So I was able to work alongside to then settle on different formulations for these particular products that I'll be able to put out.
Ooh, how exciting is that?
Thanks. I'm excited. They're dope.
Yes.
They are really, really good
I was
products.
gonna
I'm
ask
just
if you
like,
use
oh.
them.
Yeah, I've been using them. I have quite a few of my friends that I've sent them out, just as like test subjects or whatever. And I just get so excited and grateful when they're like, listen, I've been using this for 2 weeks and my cousin is making comments and trying to get the products. Like, when you gonna drop these products?
That's awesome.
So yeah, they definitely are, effective and they're safe. I wanted to go the natural route, mainly because I also have sensitive skin. And one thing I know about folks with sensitive skin is they're afraid to try new products just due to like unknown ingredients potentially making their skin worse. And so I was like, you know what, we're going to reveal the truth. Okay. Like, this is what's in it. This is nothing
Yes.
crazy. It's still going
Nice.
to, be effective to give you the results that you need without causing the drama, to your skin. So yeah, it's really good stuff.
That's
I'm a fan of
awesome. Oh, I can't wait for you to launch. That's going to be really exciting. And I definitely want to support you in that. And
Thank you.
yeah, of course. And I always like to ask my guests if they could provide their best advice for girls who have never competed before but are thinking about it. And then your best advice for girls on their road to pro.
Yeah. Okay. So for the newbies, definitely do your research, right? Understand that having proper guidance in this industry is critical. I tip my hat to any and everybody who's able to self prep. I think that is so dope, especially when you can do it well and get up there and win and all that good stuff. However, if you don't have the time or the patience to really like understand what this is about, and I'm not even talking about just the diet and nutrition, but just honestly all of it. So when you're dealing with even sponsors, or if you're dealing with just certain shows to go to, maybe even certain shows not to go to, like all of that stuff plays a part. And you want to have like good guidance, because the last thing you want to feel like is that and I'm just being honest, wasted your time, okay, at certain shows. You just don't want to feel that way, right? Especially when you're starting out, because it's exciting and your body is changing into something it's never looked like before, and you want to feel proud up there. So having someone that can strategically guide you, I think, is so important. So that means researching reputable coaches. I will absolutely plug Ryan Hinton once again. He is incredible. That man knows exactly what he's doing. He's also the type of coach that will focus in and prioritize your personal development as well. So just overall, he's just an amazing person. But there are other amazing coaches out there as well. So just do your research for sure. Please, 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 please get the right guidance. And then for those ladies that are chasing their pro card, man, like, it really comes down to timing. Like, respect the fact that yes, you look amazing. You deserve to be, you qualified to be on this national level stage, right? But so did the girl next to you, on your left and your right, in front of you and behind you. They all qualified. All of you guys look amazing. At some point, you all deserve to be pro. However, this may not be your time, and that's okay. It's really okay. Don't let that discourage you from understanding your full potential. Okay, do not let that discourage you. It's all about timing. It really, literally, it just boils down to, when is it going to be my time to get it? And it's the same thing. Again, I'm telling you, like, these are lessons that I'm taking with me for the rest of my life. Even with me trying to have a baby, I couldn't have a kid back then because it wasn't my time. There are other things that God needed to do. And to be honest, I was even telling a friend of mine who's been competing, trying to qualify for the Olympia. Okay, so this is another level of it, right? I'm like, listen, yes, you deserve the win. And I get it. It can be so frustrating when you're so close so many times. But also recognize that, because what happens is as soon as you qualify, it's like, okay, well, I'm out. I'm going to take a break and I'm not doing nothing. I'm going to, just focus on Olympia, which is fine. But at the same time, you never know how God wants to use you at these other shows, which is why you can't qualify yet. You need to continue to show up to these other shows, because you don't know what woman backstage needs to just simply be around your energy and your spirit. You don't know how that's going to impact them. So God needs you to continue to show up to these shows. It has nothing to do with your potential to win or not. It has nothing to do with that. You will get your qualification. I believe 100% this woman will qualify probably soon. But I was just trying to keep her encouraged, like, listen, you just don't know how God is going to use you. And so the same thing goes for these girls that are chasing the pro card. Like, I get it. It's frustrating because they're very long days. And, you just want the card. I mean, it's exciting when you get it. I understand. But recognize that it's about timing. And again, you just never know how God's going to use you. So he needs you to show up. You still just have to show up. So, yeah.
Wow, that's so powerful and just beautiful too. Like, even when you were saying that, there's a few pros that instantly came to mind where I'm like, yeah, I feel like that's exactly what's happening for that pro right now, where they're not qualified for the Olympia yet, and they've come. I have a feeling I know who you're talking about,
Yeah.
but they just come so close, and you're like, what the heck? When is it gonna happen? But then you see how their spirit and how they are, and you're like, makes sense.
I'm
And
telling you, there's purpose. There's purpose in that.
yes,
Real
that's
purpose.
beautiful. The fact you're such a good friend to be able to share that too so openly and with the conviction that you do. And I think that that must mean a lot to your friends and go a long way. And of course, it served you in your journey too to becoming a pro. And I love that you said it's about timing. It's not about being discouraged or believing you can't. You do deserve to be up there. You are going to have your moment, but just recognize the purpose in each moment up until then, even.
Yes, exactly. And be grateful that, like, God is using you. I mean, just he trusts you enough to use you in this way. I mean, you're not getting exactly what you want, but you are fulfilling a purpose that is very necessary, not only for you, but even for someone else.
Yes. Well, that is so amazing. And I appreciate everything that you have come on here and shared and the truth that you have revealed. I just think it's so cool. And it's been an absolute pleasure talking with you.
Thank you. Likewise. Again, thank you so much. I'm beyond grateful for the opportunity. Thank you so much for just thinking of me. And like you said, it was like divine timing for us to connect. And yeah, I'm really, really grateful.
It was, and you're so welcome, and I appreciate it. And since you already mentioned your Instagram, I'm just going to let everybody know I'm going to put the links to that for the right and for your actual personal Instagram as well in the episode show notes page, which you guys can always find on celestial.fit/podcast. If for whatever reason you don't see it at the very top because you're not listening the moment it's released, well, then just scroll down all the way to the bottom to the category section, look for Brittney Dayne, and you will see all her show notes. And by the way, I'm going to remind you guys again, I have girls who are absolutely incredible, and they do full episode timestamps, so you'll be able to see exactly what we talked about when. So all those golden nuggets you just heard, you'll be able to go back and say, that's what it was, and I want to hear it again. So definitely make sure you check that out if that's something that you're looking for. And with all that being said, thank you guys for your support, your ongoing support, your continued listening. It's just so cool sharing it, rating it, reviewing it. It means a lot. It goes a long way. And with all that said, I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, night, or morning, wherever you are in the world while you're listening to this podcast episode. Just take it off.